Hi there, it's Ruth at Artful Stampin with another One Sheet Wonder Wednesday. I'm using the gorgeous Birthday Bloom stamp set and Blushing Bride cardstock. I used the embossing buddy just to make sure that there were no kind of greasy marks on the cardstock, so that when I use the embossing powder it would only stick to where I'd stamped the Versamark ink. I'm using the For You sentiment and I stamped that 6 times because I'm going to be cutting this up to use for 6 individual cards. I then take the floral stamp and stamp that around the sentiments, taking care not to actually stamp it on the sentiments itself. Now at times you might have to lift the cardstock up and just look at it in a different light to see where you've stamped, because the Versamark ink is kind of a clear ink. It's sometimes a little bit hard to see where you've already stamped. So I then also took the small little flower image and stamped that around, filling spaces up. So here I'm using the clear embossing powder and just trying to get that all over the cardstock. And then just tip away the excess. And then my tip is to put it away immediately, because when I was filming this, I popped the piece of paper down on the floor and my husband came in later and just thought it was a random piece of paper and picked it up. So I ended up with half a pot on the floor. So yeah, that's my tip of the day. Put it away as soon as you've used it. So then here I'm using the heat tool just to activate the embossing powder. And as you can see, it's got a really lovely sheen to it now. Now take care to make sure you get every part, because I realised after I started sponging that I missed a little bit in the top corner. So to start off with, I used the Work of Art stamp set because I'd been inspired by something I saw on Pinterest. And I used the Blushing Bride, Mint Macaron and Sahara Sand, but I actually go on to change what I do later on. So here you can see my process of what happened, and that sometimes whatever you plan to start off with doesn't always end up being your finished product, but that's fine. That's the whole fun of playing and creating. So I wanted to stamp that main work of art image over the areas of the flower, and I think I might still have a go doing something with the work of art and birthday blooms, but I think I'll just approach it in a slightly different way next time. So then I decided I didn't like just using the stamp and got in there and started getting my sponge in there, and then I thought I'll give it another go. Didn't want to give up, so I stamped with the green on sort of the leaf portions. And then I think I sort of stood back from it for a few minutes and and ahed, and I then started getting in there with a sponge and seeing if I could save it, really. So then I decided that I needed a darker colour, so I got Lost Lagoon, and as you can see, it's coming up much clearer. And I use Melon Mambo instead of the Blushing Bride, and that just seemed to work much better than the lighter colours. And I went for a darker brown as well. I went for Tip Top Taupe, and particularly around the sentiment areas I used a dark colour to make sure I could really see the sentiment pop out. Okay, and then that's the kind of finished look. And there's me twiddling my fingers trying to figure out what to do next. Okay, so then as I was looking at the cardstock, I was reminded of the batik patterns that are on sarongs that my mother brought back from Malaysia, and I wanted to get even more pattern in there. So I took the single flower stamp that's in that Birthday Bloom set and I stamped with Lost Lagoon over just a portion of it just to see how it would work out. And then even stamped some more of the little, oh no, that's the little dotty stamp. And just had real fun with playing with the textures and just building up those textures and images. And then use the little block flower as well to go in there. And then cleaned off the embossed flowers because I'd stamped on top of them, so some of them had a bit of blue on them, but having them cleaned up just made them pop even more, which I really liked. So then I basically had some cardstock that were measured about 3 1/4 by 3 1/2 inches, something like that. I'll put the measurements on my blog, artfulstampin.co.uk. And then I cut the cardstock at 3 3/4, I can see it now, 3 3/4 and 3 1/2 for the actual images, and then just mounted that onto my card bases to actually finish making the cards up. So it took 1 sheet of cardstock to do the card fronts, and then 2 more sheets of cardstock just to make the card bases. Anyway, thank you for joining me today, and I hope you enjoyed today's video. Please don't forget to share, subscribe and tell your friends, and please check out my other One Sheet Wonder Wednesday videos. Okay, take care for now. Bye.